Kagebein at the Garland County Library.
I'm Mallory.
And we're here today with Adam and Brianna Moore, who are the owners of Red Light Coffee Shop and Roastery. And this is the second episode in our new series, Hot Springs Cuisines Behind the Scenes, where we go and explore the process about a local restaurant. And our first episode was at Will's Cinnamon Shop a couple months ago, so you can go back and watch that one. But for now, we're welcoming Adam and Brianna with Red Light.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and thank you for being here. And not so long ago, Mallory and I went and shot some footage. It was mainly Mallory shooting, and I'm doing a poor job of directing, but thanks to Erin Baber, our PR and marketing person, she put all the footage together in one nice video that we're about to commentate and react to. And this will actually be Adam and Brianna's first time seeing the video, but I don't think that'll be an issue for them because no one knows coffee like they do. So they'll be able to react and tell us what's going on behind the scenes.
All right.
So I'm going to get this video pulled up here.
Cool. So I think first, just talking about the building itself is kind of an interesting thing that most people don't know, is that we didn't know what we were going to do with the building when we saw it and first bought it. It wasn't for a few months that we owned it that we actually decided to put a coffee roastery coffee shop. I knew I wanted to start roasting coffee, but I didn't know how far into the coffee culture I wanted to get. I didn't realize that it would turn into what it has turned into. I was thinking I would, roast coffee and provide coffee to other coffee shops and restaurants and have a retail space or go to farmers markets or whatever. But we ended up with what you're seeing here with a pretty great front porch that is really comfortable and
Nice view.
yeah, big yard that has places you can hang up some hammocks and you can play yard games. And inside kind of evolved as we were able to remodel. We were first open in a back room, but eventually got all these front rooms remodeled and ready to open. And just over the years, I've come across some pretty neat unique retail stuff that we've added, and have kind of become a quirky gift shop along with the coffee house and everything.
I just noticed I'm wearing the exact same thing today that I was a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
That was not intentional.
Coordinating, and it is a family business. Brianna and I, and that's our son. He works there. Sandler, he's a junior in high school. He works with us, and Milo, our other son, just turned 14, and he'll start working with us some too. So it's a full family-run business at this point. So, and we do all different kind of coffee drinks, but we also have lots of snacks, and we focus on gluten-free snacks. So if you have a gluten sensitivity or celiac, we tend to be a safe place for those types of sensitivities. And kind of our specialty right now, and this was something that happened over pandemic, was we started making waffles. And a lot of people ask me if the trail out at Cedar Glades is called Waffles and Coffee. Did we have anything to do with naming it? And I was like, no, not at all. I was actually out there riding and saw the sign that said Waffles and Coffee, and it inspired me to start making waffles. So so we're making waffles because of the name of the trail out at Cedar Glades. That's kind of cool.
And I'll get to try one of those waffles here shortly. I had,
Cool.
but what was the name of it? The maple
coffee.
Yeah, the coffee cake waffle.
It was
Yep.
amazing, but I see you make savory waffles too.
Yep, we do a turkey provolone waffle.
It was one of my favorite meals in town.
Yeah, so imagine the waffle being the bread of the sandwich, and the turkey and the provolone kind of being melty in between. Yep. And espresso is kind of one of the things I focus on, and for years until just this year, we were only focusing on single origin coffee for espresso. And this year I've started experimenting with blending coffee for espresso, and to get different flavor notes out of each single origin. And we're about to release Mad Adam Experimental Espresso Blend, which that should be coming in October. So look out.
Stoked.
Yeah.
Exciting.
And that'll be an ever-changing recipe, because that's why it's called Mad Adam
Yeah.
Experimental. It's because we will use fresh harvest single origins to create the blend, and all these single origins are on a harvest schedule throughout the year, and different regions of the world harvest at different times. So it will be always a tasty espresso, but always a changing blend.
I think that's cold brew right there.
Yep,
Is that
yeah.
what
Yeah,
you had
that's
cold brew?
Yeah, we make
Do a 24-hour
Yeah.
steep cold brew.
Mhm.
Looks like an iced latte, which we're pretty
Yeah.
famous for, especially on these warm days.
My go-to order.
Yeah, we have lots of products in the shop that are locally made. Washita Botanicals right there, locally made. But then we've kind of become like a sticker shop almost. We so many stickers, and people just keep buying them.
It's
Like
crazy.
on my
People-
water.
Yeah.
People love stickers. That's my favorite sticker. That's
It's crazy. I think we sell more stickers than coffee.
Oh, no.
stickers, honestly.
People
Yeah.
love their
Like,
stickers.
People love
Stickers.
stickers.
And then we
Yeah.
ship as well, so you can see this little box kind of shows what it
Yep,
is.
we have a subscription that's you can get 1 pound, 2 pounds, or 5 pounds a month shipped to your door the first week of each month, and that's available online, redlightroastery.com. We also have lots of like that riddling rack that the succulents are in. That's an antique. It's called a riddling rack. It's a French wine storage, and that would be the back portion that would hold the neck of the bottle, and the front portion would be bigger. So we have lots of unique
Unique
antiques
things,
in the shop too, and
piece of art. Vanessa
yeah,
gave that to us.
and we have all the
Do you know what the shop was before you bought it?
It was vacant for 8 to 10 years before we got it. But in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was an antique shop,
The sassafras shop.
the sassafras
The
shop.
Sparling, so Gene Sparling's
Uh-huh.
family
Okay.
owned it.
I don't know if y'all
Yeah.
were around Hot Springs much in the 90s. I don't know how old you are when you were born, but
Well, we were born in the 90s.
okay. So I remember as a teenager in the 90s, early 90s, driving by this place, and they had a sign out front and they had like swinging horses made out of tires.
Tires.
So the tire was cut and shaped like a horse, and it was a tire swing.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, pretty cute.
the way that
Mhm.
the tire was cut was, it's kind of like a little rocking horse almost. So,
Well, in some ways, you're kind of carrying on the legacy of what it once was as an antique shop. With
Right.
all the little
Mhm.
yep.
neat items you'd have for sell trinkets. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the piano that's in the side room is the piano I learned to play on when I was a kid in our house. And there's a desk in the side room that was my grandfather's desk at his dental office in Linwood, Arkansas. So he has his desk and chair that was his. So we have a lot of memories.
Family things,
Mhm.
family heirlooms.
So personal touches like that we like to add, and we tell those stories. Sometimes if somebody's in there sitting at the desk, I really like to see people using that stuff instead of it sitting in a storage or just in the corner of the house.
This is me grinding coffee.
Yeah, that's for
For
espresso.
espresso.
The grind for espresso is the most important part. The machine, there's so many different machines that all do the same thing. The machine is like a a pump that pressurizes water that pushes it through the coffee to make the espresso, and the machine is just a pump that puts it in at 9 bars pressure. The grind is where it's really make a big difference. And this is not a training video. So don't
It does
pay
look a little
attention.
bit like it, right?
The grind is the important part. You want a grinder that is very concise and accurate in its particle size distribution, I guess, is how us coffee nerds talk about it. So.
Yeah, well, one thing, when we get to the second half of the video, we'll see you at the roastery behind the scenes, but you make it clear there's such a science behind it, and you could
Definitely.
probably go on for hours if you had time.
Yeah, that part is, there's a lot of chemistry that goes on inside every coffee bean, throughout the roast. That's a man with the last name of Maillard talks about, I guess, developed or discovered the Maillard reactions. Then those are the things that happen inside the bean that convert all the compounds into the compounds that make coffee. So the raw compounds into the coffee compounds. And the caramelizing of the sugars and all that stuff that are inside.
We
the
could
coffee
go
beans.
deeper, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's amazing. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
We do like in that shot there. We do sell several different devices to brew coffee in the coffee shop too. We want to encourage people to brew their own coffee at home and dive into the best way for them to brew coffee for themselves. And
So we have French presses, we've
Cold
got
brew.
mocha,
yeah,
mocha
mocha
pots.
pot, cold brew makers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it for now. Oh, we have the little travel French press too.
Oh, those
The
are
double wall stainless
fantastic.
travel.
Those are easy to use.
In our give back program right there was a shot of who we give our give back program is driven by the generosity of our customers. So our tips every month are what determines our give back for that month. And since we started, you can see we've given back $55,000
Wow.
into some local nonprofits right here in Hot Springs and Garland County.
Incredible.
I think we just finished up Hot Springs School District Education Foundation, so we'll check for their foundation for the
Then-
school district, and then this month it's Friends of the Hot Springs National Park.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we try to do kind of local,
Nonprofit.
not.
Looks like another iced latte going in over there.
16-ounce cups have 2 double shots of espresso.
Lots of
That's
spray.
good.
A lot.
Yep.
What are the most popular drinks that you serve?
That
Lattes,
Yeah.
for sure.
the mocha latte. Right now iced.
Yeah, it's so hot.
Yeah.
It's so hot. I don't know how people order hot coffee. It's
Yeah.
not.
These waffles are based on a muffin we used to make pre-pandemic. We made a coffee cake muffin, and the waffle batter is based on the batter from that muffin. It's just modified to work as a waffle. Yeah. So it is a very tasty, almost cake-like waffle. It's a nice crispy outside with a very cakey inside. So yeah.
That was my first time to have the sweet waffle.
Yeah, it's not just a waffle.
Right.
It's-
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, even the plain waffle, like most people say that it doesn't need butter and syrup.
Right.
But there is
By itself.
there's
I
already
believe it.
lots of butter in the batter. Yeah. Some people just throw a little cinnamon right on top too, just to give it a little kick. You can see the mugs in the background there. Those are the mugs of our neighbors. Like, so we we used to have a lot of neighborhood people that would come in, and that would be their mug that they would drink from in the coffee shop. And when we stopped doing inside porcelain mugs, we just kind of shelved those and still have them there, ready for whenever we're when we're ever ready to start washing dishes that other people's mouths have been on.
Everything doesn't think it'll ever come back.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so
It's amazing to think.
yeah, maybe one day we'll be comfortable doing that again. But I hate all the waste that goes into the trash, but it is most of it's compostable for what we try to get, and yeah, so it breaks down.
You can kind of see the Mad Adam up there.
Yep, the Mad Adam. Yep, there it is.
There.
That's the Mad Adam Experimental Espresso.
Now, is that meant to be a pun with your name?
Yep,
Yep.
it is. Mhm. Yep. That's my retirement plan. Is a coffee shop that's called Mad Adam,
I love that.
where I can be mean to people.
Because retired people just mean, right?
Yep, I'm gonna be retired. I'm gonna be the grouchy old man giving you your coffee.
You should wear a lab coat. And
Yep,
go
lab coat.
Soft brown hair.
Mhm.
Oh, look at that waffle.
Oh man,
Oh.
Those are so good.
it's tasty. Did it come out good, Brianna?
I know. I was probably
She was telling me not to record her because
Yeah.
she was getting.
I was afraid that it would come out.
Sometimes they get a little. They're so soft and cakey that sometimes they just they just kind of fall apart.
Hey, it didn't matter. It
still
tastes
tastes
It
good.
does. Yeah.
Presentation is not always everything. I know
Yeah.
people say that, but
And it's still good presentation. You can see the texture on it even.
And we tend to call them more waffle-shaped snacks than waffles because it's really, it's not a traditional waffle. We do waffle-shaped snacks. That's kind of fun. Yeah. Cinnamon sugar and pecans going on there. And that's the coffee cake.
Do you have plans to add any other foods to the menu?
No, I think making things to order. That's the thing that a lot of people are surprised that we don't have, or more pastries and muffins and scones and things. But everything was so unknown when we reopened last year that we didn't want to have a lot on the shelf ready to go, and then not know how many people were going to show up. And getting into making things to order just kind of worked for us, and it doesn't take long for the waffle. It takes about 5 minutes to have it from the time you order it, unless there's a lot ahead of you, and it can take a few minutes. But if you walk in and there's no one in front of you, you'll have a waffle in 5 minutes and be ready to go. So it's pretty quick. And we have lots of nice pastry shops in town that already do that, and they're pros.
And you can get coffee, your coffee at a lot of them too.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Will Cinnamon Shop
Yeah,
and
Will's.
Best Court Cafe and
Yeah.
Superior and Apache's, Berkeley Baked and Brewed, the Village.
There's the piano. We have a few instruments laying around for people to mess around with if they feel like it, or if they want to learn, or if they already know how to play, they can come in and share their talents. Lots of leather things that we used to have a local leather maker, and he moved to Germany, but we still have a few of his bits left over. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to play
She's
that
telling us
piano.
about the
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how to play.
And I don't know how either
Yeah.
anymore. I mean, I learned when I was a kid and played, or probably kind of still knew through college, but in the last 20 years I just lost all of it.
But it is a treat when someone comes in and knows how to play the
Yes,
piano. Oh my
It
goodness.
is. We have a few regulars that'll come in and place their order and then just go straight to the piano, play for about 5 minutes while we're making their order, and then they'll go on about their day, and it's always a treat. Yeah. So that little terrarium right there in the middle, that was made by our oldest son when he was in
Second or third grade.
Second or third grade.
At Hearts Magnet, yeah.
Yeah, we just
Still alive.
we just drop a little water in it, a couple times a year, and that's all it takes.
Here's the Roastery.
Yeah, that's the Roastery, 2 blocks down Park. We buy coffee beans from all over the world. Right now we have coffee from Costa Rica, Brazil, Peru, Mexico, Veracruz, a couple places in Ethiopia, and Sumatra. We kind of rotate through harvest schedule on those. We roast on a machine that roasts 10 kilograms. I do about 9 kilogram batches, and I end up with about 18 pounds of finished coffee per batch. And it takes 10 to 12 minutes to roast a batch of coffee on this machine with a little time in between. So I get about 3 batches per hour. Roasting there. We're roasting right now about 300 to 500 pounds of coffee a week, and selling online in our coffee shop and in several places around town here. That's the cooling tray. You want the coffee to cool down as fast as possible after the coffee is roasted so that it doesn't continue to roast. That's my Mad Adam t-shirt too. Those will be available.
Yeah.
Those will be available in the coffee house in October when the coffee's released. Yeah.
So it's like you are your own mascot.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody has to be.
Well, we were trying to think about a new mascot, and I was thinking, a cat. And Adam said this morning that there was enough cats on T-shirts.
There's so many cats.
And so we were trying to figure out what would be the mascot for Mad Adam. We were thinking pangolins.
They're so cute.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
yeah, they're kind of underrepresented.
They are.
There's not many obvious animals associated with coffee. So.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there's the civet, which
Yep.
civets. They
feed the coffee cherries to the civets, and then the civets poop out the coffee beans, and then they go through the processes to clean them up, and then you roast them, and you have civet coffee.
It goes through a certain fermentation in their stomach. It's very unique.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Paul's learning something.
And there are other animals that they use for coffee also.
It's very strange.
Makes good coffee though.
And makes for a good story when they ask what kind of animal it is.
Right.
What's that mongoose look?
Yeah.
The groundhog coffee.
Let's see what can I talk about here.
So you've got
This building we bought 5 years ago. We bought it 5 years ago. We started roasting in here 4.5 years ago probably, and we used to roast at the coffee house. Kind of ran out of space there, and this building became available. Bought and renovated it, and then moved the roastery down there, and it's been bumping along ever since. And
it used to be a laundromat.
yep,
And so when we bought it, it was full of laundromat things.
and all the equipment,
washers and dryers.
but it had not been used for probably 8 or 10 years. I mean, it's been a while.
It's a neat building. It really
It
is.
is. It's pretty cool.
What is your normal routine like? What time do you go in the morning?
Right now, I'm roasting after coffee house hours on Mondays. So we work the coffee house 8 to 2, and then I go roast from 3 until this week it was about 8 p.m. So from 2 to 8, I was at the roastery roasting and packaging for the week. Yep. The computer's there, just it's connected to the roaster, but all it does is track temperatures and times and things that I do to the roaster. The roaster is completely manual. All the gas and airflow controls are done by me throughout the roast, and the computer program just kind of charts and tracks the roast itself, and has temperature probes in ambient air temperature, and then like in the bean bed, there's and then in the exhaust, there's a temperature probe. And it reads all those temperatures, and I kind of have a profile for each coffee that I like to follow. So I'll plug that profile in, roast the coffee, and try to make the lines match, basically. And it takes a minute to develop the profile, but once you have it and know what to do, it's pretty easy to make it consistent and do that every single time.
Kind of drawn to like look at the screen when you're in there, like what is happening on that screen?
Yeah,
it looks so.
Yep, there's like three little lines just kind of moving at different places. It's kind of cool.
Is there ever an alarm that goes off if something that's going wrong?
Well, there are alarms that go off, but not for anything going wrong. It's more alarms to alert me that there's about to need to be some attention. Like if I can step away from the roaster at certain points and package coffee, which I'm 10 feet away, even when I'm packaging coffee, but an alarm will go off just in case my internal alarm doesn't remind me to go back over there. If I need to, that it's reached a certain temperature and I'm about to need to make a change to airflow or gas pressure. Yeah. But the roaster is it's like a drum, like a horizontal drum, and it rotates at a certain speed. The beans bounce around in there. It's kind of like a cement mixer. The beans bounce around in there. There's fins that keep them kind of up in the, not on the side of the drum, so that it's getting some convective and some conductive heating. There's airflow going through, exhaust out the back. There's a big cylinder in the back that captures any solid materials that release from the bean. So the bean will have like a skin. It's like called silver skin, and it's if you eat like Virginia peanuts and the peanuts have a skin on them, it's kind of a skin like that. It's just a real light, fluffy skin, and then the big cylinder in the back captures those, and then the rest of the steam and exhaust goes out through the flue.
And from this angle, you can kind of get an appreciation for how large it is. It's
right.
It's kind of an intimidating machine.
It's a big machine, and it's 10 times bigger than the first machine we had. So we had a 1 kilogram machine to start with, and it was pretty obvious from the beginning that wasn't going to be big enough. I would have to roast 7 days a week to the same, the amount that I'm doing now. So, and that's the beans coming out and going into the cooler. The bean cooler has a big fan that goes out the side there and pulls out exhaust to the outside, and it cools the beans down from 400 degrees to room temperature in about 4 or 5 minutes. It doesn't take too long to get everything cooled down nice.
You were mentioning how the smell would change throughout the cooling process.
Right. Yeah. So right when it comes out, it definitely doesn't smell like coffee, and it doesn't smell like coffee while roasting either. There's a lot of smells throughout the roast. Early on, it's just kind of grassy, and you can smell that it's a raw green plant material, and then it kind of gets into baked bread, and as it starts converting sugars, it smells like cookies, and then there's a point where it smells kind of like popcorn or like corn tortillas cooking, or there's a lot of different smells that go on. And it doesn't even smell like coffee right when it comes out of the roaster. Yeah. And there's a lot of reactions still happening inside the bean, a lot of energy still in the bean after it's dropped out. So it takes a few days for everything to really calm down. Like coffee directly out of the roaster, to me, doesn't taste the way that I want it to. It takes a few days for it to relax and to really to taste right. And I don't typically use coffee for espresso until it's 10 days post roast.
Okay.
And I don't brew coffee in the coffee house until it's at least 3 days post roast. So, the freshest roasted coffee to me isn't the tastiest coffee. It takes a minute for it to it's still kind of degassing and off-gassing.
I was expecting to walk into the roastery and like to smell coffee and
Yeah.
like, what? That's something you don't expect.
Yeah.
Now, since you've been doing this,
Mhm.
how far do you think your palate and sense of smell have come where you can identify all the elements that go into it, like the age and flavor profile?
I feel like I've developed like during the roasting process, I feel like I've developed a sense of smell where I can tell when the coffee is finished, where I want it to be for espresso versus drip coffee, or a lighter roast versus a medium roast. And because when first crack is part of the roast where you get to where the coffee is actually starting to develop to be drinkable coffee, and later into first crack, it starts. If you imagine drinking coffee and it has like a bright flavor, and it can be kind of tart and citrus sometimes, or berry sometimes. For espresso, you don't want it to be so tart that it's sour. So I feel like I've developed this sense of smell to where I can tell where that sour stops, where it's developed out. Because there's a sharpness in the smell of the coffee, and I take samples during first crack to continuously smell the coffee until that, if I'm roasting for espresso, until that sharpness goes away in the smell. And I've found that when that sharpness is gone, it's not sour as espresso anymore. It's just kind of interesting. We weigh out each batch green to the gram, because the machine, to be super consistent, you need to have the same amount going in every time. So I measure on a scale every time to the half.
Take out one.
Exactly, to the half a handful to make sure that it's going to act the way that I want it to act.
That one little thing from there.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Brianna, have you ever had any experience in this side of it?
Yeah, I was the roaster.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, Adam dislocated his collarbone.
Yeah, separated my shoulder 2
Yeah.
years ago.
So I was the stand-in roaster.
How was that?
It
It
was
was-
6 weeks.
Yeah,
Did you do about 6 or 7 weeks?
Yeah, so I started 7 weeks of roasting under my belt. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's just, you really have to pay attention to those times and the temperatures and I probably could help out again.
Yep.
Yep.
Did a good job.
I'd rather not.
Right, Adam does such a good job. He doesn't need another person in there telling him what to do.
You're good at making the drinks.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
She's a soap maker too. She has the Lark Martin soaps at the coffee house. She has all of her gear over there too to make soap. And
Not as much as I used to.
been doing that for about
Is that
13 years. Yeah, that's
Will's?
Will Cinnamon Shop
Will's
Coffee
Cinnamon?
getting prepped there.
They serve coffee and retail bags as well.
Yep, that is their retail bag. That's the roasted coffee going into the bins. It'll go over to the packaging area and ready to go in bags.
And this is pretty much an entirely solo job.
Yep. The roasting part is pretty solo. Sandler, our older son, will come and help package sometimes. He's back they're back in school now, so they don't work in the coffee house. 'Cause we're open Monday through Friday now, and having good times, doing other fun stuff on the weekends. So
That's nice for y'all.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been really nice.
Yeah. And then you get your alone time like a true mad scientist.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about, my peripheral vision. How
Yeah.
bad, I don't usually wear a mask in there when I'm roasting by myself, and I didn't see those buckets. And the mask blocked my peripheral vision. I
Oh, it's
almost
hard.
tripped down those buckets.
That's funny.
Yeah. Mhm. Let's see. I was gonna say, so the roaster, the big funnel on the top is where the green coffee goes, and I think we get into
Yeah, we
that in
did
a
get
minute,
that
right?
in a minute. I actually haven't seen this either yet, so I'm like,
Oh,
oh.
cool. Yep, that's them dropping out. You can hear the snaps in the video there. That's the end of first crack still. For most of my coffee, I don't really even get into second crack much. There's one dark roast I do that I get into second crack, but the cracks are snaps that you hear during coffee. The first crack, is, the coffee has already lost the majority of the moisture that's left from, the coffee's picked and dried and processed at region, but when it's brought to me, it's a certain percentage of moisture, and the rest of the moisture is basically gone when you're finished roasting. Most of that happens in the first drying phase of the coffee, but first crack is so that's slow-mo coming in there. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that does not look the same as it comes out.
Right. So the green coffee is green, like a raw bean, as it is. And I'll get back to first crack in a second. But each of the coffee beans is half of the seed inside of a cherry that grows on a bush in wherever they come from, Ethiopia and South America. There's a coffee belt around the globe and tropical areas and higher elevations is where the best coffee is. But back to first crack, all the moisture's lost in the drying phase. In that first crack is when there's like one last little pocket of moisture left in the bean, and it lets out an audible snap when it finally does release itself from the bean that's in the little seam on the inside of the bean. It opens up and lets that last little pocket of air of moisture out. And second crack is actually physically the bean is starting to fracture. It's gotten to the temperature and has gotten to the point where the actual bean fractures. So it's a higher pitched snap. The first crack is usually kind of like popcorn, and the second crack is usually more like Rice Krispies, like a really high pitched Rice Krispie. Yep.
Literally, there's so much science behind it.
Yeah. I'm obviously talking about something very important.
I was like trying to decide
about the science.
Yeah.
I mean, read my lips.
Oh wait.
So we acquired a new sample roaster, which has been pretty exciting because we can do small, like 100 grams.
Yeah, 100 gram batch sample roaster. That's pretty cool.
That's neat.
So we've been running sample roaster lists for a few years, and it's a pretty important tool for a roaster to be able to taste and sample coffees before you buy in bulk. And it's something I've been doing is trusting my broker, which I've been really lucky to have a great broker that sends me super tasty coffee. But as I get into developing blends, I wanted to be able to experiment with blending coffee on smaller scales than having to roast full batches of every one to blend, and I can mess around with different roast levels on a much smaller scale for the blend. So I think it's mainly a tool for that. To get my blending game on strong. Yep, and then our filling machine over there is, I don't know if you can see it. We named it Fat Gus. Yeah, you can see it right there. So Fat Gus is our vibratory filler. It weighs the coffee, and I push a little button and it drops it into the bag for me. It's a lot easier than we used to do by hand on a scale with a little scoop. And, once our production got up to where it's taking longer to package than it was to roast,
You're like,
I
okay.
needed a helping hand, and Fat Gus is that helping hand.
Back with the pH.
Fat with a pH.
Obviously.
Yeah, definitely. So we just have the rough sketch on there, but we'll get it all painted up one day.
Oh yeah.
That'll be a proper Fat Gus. Yeah, so that's that machine, and we do have a grinder in the roastery there too that is a very, very nice, precise grinder that gets that proper particle distribution so that everybody's coffee is tasty if they order it to be ground in a certain way. We have lots of posters up in the roastery too from the Valley of the Vapors, because we love that music festival, and it's coming up this fall.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be an outdoor venue this year. It's going to be cool out at Cedar Glades, and that's a great place for it for sure.
You guys gonna have a presence there?
We are going to be there. I don't know if Red Light will be there with anything, but we will be there enjoying.
Camp?
Probably not camp, but we'll definitely be there.
I know. I was like, when I saw camping this year,
That's pretty
on
cool.
proper music festival now.
Yeah. That's one of the best places all around to catch a sunset.
Yes.
So that'll be a nice music venue, and be up on the hilltop and see the sunset. We were out there last night. We saw the sunset for NICA. NICA is our bike league in town that kids get to learn how to bike race. And we were out there till sunset last night. It was awesome. There's Fat Gus at work.
Good job.
Yep. That's the sealer. Yes, the heat sealer. And Will buys his coffee whole bean. Has a better shelf life that way, and also and most people buying specialty coffee like to grind as they go, and so that's the majority of our sales are definitely whole bean to our customers. We'll grind it however you want us to.
So I think we're approaching the end of our footage here.
Cool.
But what is each of your favorite parts of being in the whole coffee industry?
I love the roasting. Yeah, the roasting is my favorite day. I like that part, and I like having a tasty cup of coffee too. It's I roast and brew coffee the way that I like coffee, and just hope that other people like it that way too. And I think that's how most any business is whoever starts the business likes to do things a certain way, and just hope that other people like it. What do you think, Brianna? What's your?
I love meeting all the people that come into the shop. It's just so neat how many visitors we get, how many people I get to visit with, and why are they here, and I just
Socialize.
yes, I love that
That's really
part.
nice.
Talking to people that come in and visiting our town, telling them what to do. We're half tour guide sometimes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Definitely.
Who are we? Oh, dear.
There we go.
I
That's who
think-
we are.
That's who we
Oh,
are.
I didn't think
Hello.
we'd be able to say anything for 40 minutes.
I know,
You
I
did
know.
that, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
impressive. Yeah, probably more you could have said. Well, are there any final remarks you have, or?
Well, thank you for showcasing us. This is so
Yeah,
great.
that was kind of fun to commentate. I didn't think I would have that much to say either.
You did a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
absolutely. The time,
You can talk
the
about
time
coffee all day.
Flew, time flew by. Just give me a video to be in front of, and I'll just talk about whatever's on the screen, I guess. Best way to get me to talk.
Yeah,
It helps.
They just kind of weaned it. They didn't have any early access to the footage at all. So good job.
Cool.
So good.
So let everyone watching know, just as a reminder, where they can find you and physically or virtually.
Yep. Physically, we're located at 1003 Park Avenue. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. right now. Roastery.com is where you can go and order drinks to pick up, or beans for shipping or to pick up. If you're comfortable ordering online and picking up, we have a table outside the front door where you can grab your stuff if you're not comfortable coming into an establishment at the current moment. But we are also open inside for ordering and drinks and snacks at 1003 Park Avenue. We have all of our beans and lots of our other gift shop goodies on redlightroastery.com.
So can you order beans and pick them up on the weekends? Or is that strictly Monday through Friday right now?
All the pickups are Monday through Friday,
Makes sense.
and on the weekends there are lots of places you can buy our coffee, drinks and things. But beans are available at Will's. He has the Ethiopia wash process that is what he uses, and he calls it yellow giraffe because we used to always have Yirgacheffe, and he couldn't pronounce that word, so he called it yellow giraffe. You're welcome, Will. And then Smith Drug and Compounding right now grabs fresh pounds of coffee every week from us, and keeps a good supply on the shelf there. And they're open on Saturdays, so you can grab Red Light Roastery coffee whole bean. They can grind it for you there at Smith Drug and Compounding at the CHI Doctors Building, first floor, next to the outpatient.
Awesome.
Yep.
So lots of options.
Lots of
Yes.
options, definitely.
You're not out of luck on the weekends.
Nope. Even on Sunday, Will's is open Sunday, and he has beans there too. So
And don't forget about the waffles. Delicious.
waffles.
Try the turkey and provolone. You will not regret it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to thank Mallory here for taking care of all the footage, and our other coworker Aaron, who edited it all together in that awesome video that we got to commentate, and especially Adam and Brianna from Red Light.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Sure, come see us.
And everyone watching, I hope you enjoyed this. And again, check out Red Light. And if you enjoyed this video, you can go back and watch our first episode with Will's Cinnamon Shop and check them out as well. And we'll have another behind the scenes of a local restaurant probably in November to be announced on who it is. But we will enjoy.
And when you come see us, tell us that you saw this video, and you might get a treat. I don't know. We haven't.
I just now said that. So I'm not really
So
sure.
We'll have something awesome.
It might
Yeah.
be something
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Might just be a crisp high five. So.
Excellent.
Hey, that's good.
This video is also your coupon.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.